Hello, this is the mini lecture presentation assignment for Geog 471313, Group 2, and our topic is East Africa. The members are included is Amber Guizar, Maxyne Vang, Jamila Romero. Approximate whereabouts of the region. East Africa is located on the eastern edge of the African continent. It's a region known for its rich culture, diverse landscapes, and historical importance. It extends from the Red Sea in the north near countries like Eritrea and Sudan, all the way down to Mozambique and the Indian Ocean in the south. This large stretch of land covers many different environments from the desert and mountains to coastlines. East Africa is also located in the middle of the equator, which means most of the region experiences warm weather throughout the year, with tropical climates in many areas. Lastly, one of the most important things about East Africa's location is that it borders the Indian Ocean. This coastline has been a major trade route for centuries, connecting East Africa to places like India and the Middle East, and helping shape the region's culture and economy. And I have a picture on the top right of the Red Sea and Indian Ocean pointing with red arrows. The bottom shows the continent of East Africa starting and how it ends, and the equator and how it hits East Africa. The nation and major capitals in the region. East Africa is home to a wide range of countries with its own rich culture, history, and landscape. From stunning savannas and mountains to busy urban centers, this region truly shows the diversity of Africa. Some of the main countries, often called the mainland cores of East Africa, are Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. These nations play a big role in the region's economy, politics, and culture. Their major capitals like Nairobi in Kenya and Duma in Tanzania and Kampala in Uganda are important centers for government, business, and international organizations. Nairobi, for example, is home to the United Nations office in Africa. Although East Africa includes several nations celebrated for their tradition, wildlife, and long histories, making it one of the most fascinating and influential regions on the continent. And the picture I have are just major capitals and stuff, and in the region of East Africa. Major landforms, places, rivers and lakes, and climate properties of the region. East Africa climate is incredibly diverse, and that's mostly because of its elevation and how it close or far different areas from the equator. Since much of the region lies along the equator, you'd expect it to be very hot, but that's not always the case. In the highlands, like Kenya and Ethiopia, the higher elevation brings cooler temperature and more rainfall. Meanwhile, the northern and east lowlands tend to be much hotter and drier, with deserts and semi-desert conditions. The region's geography is also full of variety of tall mountains, wide plateaus, vast deserts, and important rivers. Two of the most famous rivers are the or water features are the Lake Victoria, the largest lake in Africa, and the Nile River, which begins in East Africa and flows north all the way to Egypt. Although the mix of climates and landscapes make East Africa one of the most unique, geographical, diverse regions in the world. And I have a picture of Lake Victoria on the map and the Nile River as an example. Major resource bases. East Africa is rich in natural resources that play a huge role in its economy. One fun fact is that Ethiopia is actually known as the birthplace of coffee. It's where coffee was first discovered 100 years ago, and it continues to be one of the region's biggest exports today. Agriculture is a major part of life across East Africa. Farmers grow crops like coffee, tea, sugar canes, bananas, and even flowers that are sold locally and internationally. Tanzania is also stands out as one of the top gold producers in Africa, making it a mighty important part of its economy. And of course, the most famous resource of East Africa is its wildlife. Countries like Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda attract millions of visitors each year for its safaris and national parks.
Hi, my name is Jamila Romero, and today I'm going to be covering slides 6 through 9, approximate population size of the region. East Africa has a current population of 560,991,042. They are very close to 1.5 billion people with a population growth of 2.36%. They have a current economic growth rate of 4.1%. However, they are still in poverty. Some countries in East Africa that have a highest population is Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Kenya, with Ethiopia at 135.5 million people, Tanzania at 68.6 million people, and Kenya at 56.4 million people currently in 2025. They currently have populated from 160 different ethnic groups. Most populated nation of the region and the corresponding population size and major cities. The most populated nation in East Africa is Ethiopia. Ethiopia at 135.5 million people. Some major cities in Ethiopia are Addis Ababa, Dire Dawa, Mekelle, Bahir Dar, and many more. Addis Ababa is known as the political capital of Africa. They are known as this due to them hosting the African Union headquarters as well as hosting many more organizations. In Addis Ababa, there is Addis Mercato that is considered one of the largest open-air markets in Africa. They have a larger area to cover within several square miles. This can be a bit challenging due to them having to deal with thousands of people that are involved within the business trade. Major civilizations and histories in the region. In East Africa, they have some major civilizations. To name a few, the ancient kingdom of Punt and the Mycorian kingdom. The ancient kingdom of Punt, or as the land of the Punt, known from ancient Egyptian trade records. They produce and export gold, ivory, wild animals, and more. However, Egyptians kept this location a secret, which was hidden from the world due to its isolation. The Mycorian kingdom was a very powerful ancient tribal kingdom located on the Somali Peninsula in the Horn of Africa. The peak of their operation was first millennium BCE. However, they did not have much records of their history, but it would come from Greek accounts. The people from Macrobian would live up to 120 years of age. They were reputed as tall and handsome. East Africa has been known as the birthplace of humanity by having some of the oldest remains within the whole world. However, East Africa has been divided into the prehistory due to them not having enough information or evidence or insight to be able to talk about the origins or background. Major languages and regions. In East Africa, they speak many different languages such as Swahili and English, Amhara, Oromo, and many different indigenous languages. Swahili being the most important language with 90% of the population speaking it. English serves as a crucial role into communication, meaning that it's specifically for travelers to have an easy way to communicate on their adventure. Besides Swahili and English, they have their own different indigenous language to be able to communicate with their trade partner, being able to communicate cross-ethnic and show their independence and unity. Some of the major regions in East Africa are the Great Lakes region and the Horn of Africa. The Great Lakes region is located in the East African Rift Valley. It has many great series of lakes in and around the East African Rift, having countries such as Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. The Horn of Africa, known as the Somali Peninsula and the fourth largest peninsula in the world. It is located on the critical gold trade route by the Red Sea, which makes it so important for the trades to pass through, such as the US and China. It also connects Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, creating security for no conflict in the Horn of Africa that can lead to mass displacement.
Part of Group 2, and I have slides 10, 11, 12, and 13. East Africa, rhythm, story, and identity. I'm going to be talking about cultures, social customs, folklore, music, and dance. East Africa's culture is deeply rooted in people's connections to one another. Across Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Somalia, every community tells its story through movement, sound, and shared experience. In Kenya, the Maasai perform the adumu, or jumping dance, a joyful competition that celebrates community, strength, and unity. Along Tanzania's Swahili coast, centuries of trade created a blend of African, Arab, and Indian influence you hear in the Tarab music and see it in colorful Ganga's clothing. In Uganda, elders still pass on folk tales under moonlight, teaching lessons about courage and respect. These customs remind us that art here isn't just entertainment, it's a way of remembering who you are. Even modern Afropop carries echoes of drums and chants that connect generations, keeping community spirits alive in every rhythm. I clipped a photo of an East African drum, and then on the bottom is a picture of the Maasai dancers who do the jumping dance, and then a picture in the right is of people gathering in the Swahili market. For slide 2, it's on leadership and voices in East Africa. So, political structures, organizations, and issues. Governments across East Africa may differ, but ordinary people everywhere want fairness and stability. Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania are republics with regular elections that give citizens a voice, even as corruption and inequality remain challenges. Ethiopia's federal system reflects it in many groups, showing both power and pressure of diversity. One bright example is Rwanda's, often included in the East African community, where women now hold over 60% of parliament seats, the highest rate in the entire world. Regional organizations like the EAC bring neighbors together for trade and cooperation, proving that shared progress is possible when nations listen to one another. For everyday people, politics isn't distance. It shapes access to schools, safety, and opportunity. Reform here is slow, but the hope for accountable leadership remains one of the region's strongest human forces. I provided a picture of the East African map of the Rwandan flag, and on the top right is the East African Parliament. And now I'm going to be talking about work, trade, and change in East Africa. So economic organization, level of development, and economic development issues. The heartbeat of East Africa's economy is its people. Farmers in Ethiopia, Uganda, wake before sunrise to harvest coffee beans and tea that travel the world. In Kenya, a younger generation codes apps in Nairobi's Silicon Savannah, showing how technology can grow from local creativity. Tourism in Tanzania from Mount Kilimanjaro to the Serengeti feeds the entire communities, while marketplaces buzz with handmade crafts and produce. Yet poverty and unemployment still limit opportunity, especially for rural families. Many governments invest in education and small business programs so growth reaches beyond cities. Regional trade under the East African community helps keep prices stable and connects farmers to global buyers. Behind every statistic is a person working hard to create a better life, proof that East Africa's real wealth lies in its human determination. In the top left, I provided a photo of the Serengeti market. On the bottom left is a picture of the coffee farm, and on the bottom right is a photo of the Nairobi Tech Hub. For the last slide, we're going to be talking about people, progress, and everyday life in East Africa. So, social form and social issues. Over half of the population in East Africa is under 25, a generation filled with ambition and ideas. In Uganda, youth start small businesses with recycled materials. In Kenya, students walk miles to school because education is their best path forward. Across Ethiopia and Tanzania, women's cooperatives teach skills about financial independence to support families. But the region also faces real struggle, like overcrowded cities, limited housing, and unequal access to healthcare. Rural villages still fight for clean water and medical supplies. Even so, community solidarity is strong. Neighbors help neighbors, and faith-based groups step in where resources fall short. These human stories show that progress here isn't only about statistics. It's about young voices, women leaders, and families who refuse to give up on having a better future. Posted a picture of a young lady on the top left, and then a community water pump on the bottom left. And on the very bottom is a picture of a women's co-op. I hope you guys enjoyed our PowerPoint on East Africa and have a wonderful day.